And they can just chat about a tune that they love and which they would hope to find on the Steve Show playlist, and perhaps something which I'm unfamiliar with. Dan, who have we got on line one?
Steve, you can't believe your luck. It's only Anthony Firestone.
Anthony Firestone. It's a masculine name. Let's hope it's a masculine kind of guy. Hello there, Anthony.
How you doing?
Where are you calling from?
Calling from Swansea.
Swansea. And are you Welsh?
Sort of, yeah. I think a little bit Welsh. I've lived here for most of my life, but I was actually born in England.
Okay, we're going to make you honorary Welsh.
Alright, cheers.
Have we had a Welsh person on the air before? We've not, had we? Oh, round of applause for Anthony. It's the first time we're there. No, it's good to have the regions represented. Now, Anthony Firestone is a super name.
It's a great name, isn't it? I think it's Greek. It derives from ancient Greece, from the gods.
Does it really? And do you feel that you wear that name well? Are you a sort of rugby playing kind of Welsh guy? Are you quite tough? And could you handle yourself in a street brawl?
I don't know. I don't play rugby, no. But I made the name up.
Do you wear spectacles like me?
No, I'm not bespectacled. No,
You're not bespectacled.
I've got pretty good vision.
Sure. Ooh, showing off. Now, what do you do? Are you working? Are you a student?
Yeah, I'm a student. Yeah, so I just do a bit of reading, a bit of writing.
Of course, that's pretty much what it involves. I remember those days of a bit of reading, bit of writing. And what are you studying?
English.
English. Okay. What do you have career ambitions?
Not really. Well, yeah, of course, yeah. I wouldn't mind doing something sort of creative, you know. I wouldn't mind writing a book or being a songwriter or something.
That's fair. That's a fairly broad church there.
Yeah, or inventing a cure for a disease or something. That's something good.
Sure, yeah, cure or yeah, sure, right. Well, maybe sort of some kind of singing scientist that's also got a couple of novels under his belt. Perfect.
Yeah,
that's easy enough. Now, what kind of tune are you suggesting for us this week? Because you know my kind of vibe. I love the singer-songwriter. I love that sort of thing.
Yeah, Elliott Smith. You know, I think one of the best singer-songwriters America has ever produced. But I reckon, I don't know, that's just coming from me. But I think he's a very good there. He's popularised when he wrote a couple of tracks for Good Will Hunting. But I think he's got a really good big catalogue of great songs there. And I've chosen one which is sort of a little bit obscure. But I just think it's a real nice track, real good, pure songwriting, no pretentiousness about it. I think it's just a nice track.
All right, let's just have a listen to it, and then we'll make our assessment after that. What's it called?
It's called Let's Get Lost.
Let's Get Lost. All right, Elliott Smith, Let's Get Lost, choice of Anthony down in Swansea. Stay there, Anthony, we'll come back to you in a second.
Okay.
Let's Get Lost by Elliott Smith, the choice of one of our listeners who's calling from Swansea. We actually have people listening down there in Walesland. And that's Anthony Firestone, the mighty Firestone. Anthony, you still with us?
Yeah, go ahead.
I very much enjoyed that. I've always felt that I should be more of a fan of Elliott Smith than I am. He's sort of someone who's slightly bypassed me. Didn't he tragically sort of die in strange circumstances with a bread knife plunged into his chest?
Yeah, he did, yeah. I think it's quite controversial. I don't know, it's some conspiracy theories, but he supposedly killed himself by sort of stabbing himself in the chest, but there's other conspiracy theories that he didn't do it himself, you know.
It's a very unusual way to commit suicide if you were, isn't it, to sort of plunge
it, wouldn't it?
It would be very strange, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'd do it probably with pills, or probably throw myself off a building, if truth be told. If you've got a favourite suicide attempt, then get in touch. 6 foot, no, don't. Actually, I'll tell you what, I've really, really enjoyed that Elliott Smith track, Let's Get Lost, and I really appreciate you recommending it to me. Normally I would pit you against another listener, but we can't find one. I'll be honest with you, they've been dropping like flies since the show began. People were desperate to get on in the early weeks, but no, nothing left. Anyway, thank you very much indeed, Anthony, and that will go straight on the Steve Show playlist. Round of applause for Anthony Firestone. The mighty Firestone, and hopefully we'll talk to Anthony in the future and get some final choices from him. Special View by The Only Ones, the first track in a new feature on the show, songs about blokes voyeuristically spying on ex-girlfriends. Not a huge amount of songs to include in that category. A lot of you instantly think obviously of Babies by Pulp. No, that doesn't count because he wasn't spying on an ex-girlfriend, he was actually spying on the sister of a girl that he fancied. So afraid we can't include that one, but if you have a choice, 64046, songs where men perv on women. Oh God, why did I mention that? It was going so well, I'd redeemed myself. All the previous laddish banter and sexist nonsense that had previously been said had been cancelled out single-handedly by, what were we calling it? Fanny search or something? What was it? I can't remember. Well, I had it.
Suddenly, you know.
Shijay, the Fairer Six, whichever one it was. Yeah. Okay. Well, great. No, we've enjoyed ourselves enormously, and let's hope we get some contributions. You've hopefully got all the information. I'm sure we can put something up on the website as well. It's only left for me to thank everyone that's come to the studio today. We've also got Harry, we've got Dan, they're regulars. We've got Kirsten O'Brien, wrapped up in scandal as we speak, and Super Posh Rufus. Round of applause to all of them. That's pretty much the end of the show. Next up on the on Six Music is Steve Lamacq, who is live from the South by Southwest Music Jamboree in Austin, Texas. Lucky him. And one of the names floating about over there is Bill Callahan, the main man behind the band Smog. So I'll leave you with this. This is a track from the album Knock Knock by Smog, and a song called Hit the Ground Running. We will speak to you next time on the Steve Show, Six Music. And as I say, send in your tapes, cassettes and stuff if you feel that you could take part in the Fairer Six. See you next. R.E.M. Superman from the album Life's Rich Pageant 1986. By rights that should be in our Mr. Cover section, as it's actually a cover of a song by an obscure 60s garage band called Music. The Steve Show with me, Stephen Merchant. This programme, if you have not heard it before, is rather like some kind of speed dating service. You, the listener, pop yourself down, get yourself a drink. I will parade in front of you a series of lithe, handsome young men who will try and charm you with their musical selections. And today's show, those men include my old flatmate Dan, he's here, my old school buddy Harry, super posh university pal Rufus, and hopefully, if he makes it here, a special guest hunk. Gentlemen, Dan and Harry, you're here already. A round of applause for them straight away. Lovely to see you in the Steve Reich style. What would be your opening line if you were speed dating? As I understand it, I've never done the speed dating thing, but as I understand it, you sit down in a chair. Is there a bell or something that goes after a minute? And you have to swap seats?
Like that, yeah. I think so.
It's quite tricky.
Maybe 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes, okay. Because I think you've got to get in fast and sell yourself, rather like you were selling a perhaps on a market stall. You know how you'd be selling some fruit and veg, all lovely and juicy, etc. Just a way to go. I obviously would say something like, you know, you obviously know how great I am. Tell me about yourself, hot lips, and make it fast because I got my eye on that blonde over there. So that's sort of my opening line. Dan, how would you set about it?
I think I'd be very bad at speed dating because, as you know, I'm more of a slow burner.
Sure.
So I think I would try and sell myself in the way, you know, I'd speak too fast and it would fail. At the end of the night, I would be the sort who would be sat there and someone else who it hadn't quite worked with would come over and they'd say, no luck. And I'd say, yeah, no luck for me either. And we'd kind of hit it off.
Yeah.
And she'd think, well, you know, he's not so bad. He's clean.
Sure.
He's a bit dull. But we'd hit it off and we'd go out for maybe 7 months.
Before you made a move?
Yeah. No, I think 7 months and then the relationship would peace out.
Just fizzle away.
Not really bitter recriminations, just kind of, you know, it would fade away.
Just slowly fade away. Yeah. It's quite a depressing portrait you've painted there of your sort of Lothario ways.
Yeah,
it's quite upsetting. Harry, any different for you?
Yeah, well, I'd probably try to work a different angle, Steve. I think I'd go in with a pad of paper and a pen, maybe some different coloured pens, and I'd invite her to design a tattoo for me.
Right. That's nice.
And I'd do the same for her. And you know, obviously, if we like what each other's drawn, then it's a match made in heaven.
And what would you draw for her?
Maybe a bat.
Right.
A large bat.
Like a cricket bat?
No, a winged mammal.
A winged mammal?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And where would you suggest somewhere that might be placed upon her body?
Right across her back. Okay. Just a huge bat across her back.
Sure, and what would you have designed for you?
I don't know, maybe, well, you see, all those sort of Chinese and Japanesey symbols are quite big, aren't they? Maybe I'd go for a Greek letter, just to be a bit different.
Across the left buttock?
Yeah, maybe sigma. Or theta.
Right, theta. The ladies love theta.
Yeah.
I feel like I could throw this out and get people's responses from the listeners, get a sense of them and how they would approach it. I mean, I'll throw it out there. I'm not desperate to find out what they'd put, but you never know, because something interesting and charming might come in that could...
At least they've got the option.
Exactly. 64046 is the text. Stephen.6music@bbc.co.uk, how you would pitch and sell yourself if you want a speed dating thing, just in case we ever need the information in the future. Plus, it's always nice to try and get a picture of the listeners, and for whom we, of course, are playing music, but don't forget they themselves can suggest music to us. They can go to the website and they can check that stuff out. Here's a tune by the Dials, formed in Brighton, playing a hybrid of psychedelic garage and country and folk with a bit of surf and soul thrown in the mix as well. That's the Dials, and Where Did Our Love Go, taken from their eponymous debut album. It's a Steve Show, BBC Six Music.
Speaking of which, actually, that eponymous debut album, I presume that's available now, is it?
Oh, right. Yes, it is. Yes,
Because
thank
something
you.
else that's available very soon, tomorrow, in fact, I believe, is Series 2 DVD of extras.
You can't mention that. Don't
follow up.
You can't mention it. You cannot. That's such a shameless promotion.
It's available
Dave.
tomorrow. In
You
August.
cannot mention it because that is a shameless disrespect to the BBC rules. I am not allowed to promote my own work, my own goods. All right. So I don't know what you're thinking
It's
there.
just at the front. It's at the front of my mind. It's a big event.
It's at
in
the
my life.
forefront of everyone's mind, Dan, for goodness sake, but we
Yeah.
cannot mention it, alright? We can't
right.
talk about it. I don't want you mentioning that. I don't want you mentioning the box set of Series 1 and 2. You cannot talk about it, alright? Because it contravenes any number of BBC regulations.
You're right. Well, I certainly don't want to do that. So, just to clarify, Series 2.
Don't, because we'll get in serious trouble. Harry, what are you going to be buying tomorrow in the shops? You can't mention anything. You can't say anything because we'll get in so much trouble. Last week, if you were listening, you discovered that, as none of us know any women, certainly any women of any worth, that we launched our search for a regular female contributor to the show, and if basically you think that you get on with us and that you sort of share our love of music and you'd like to be involved with the show and maybe spar with us here in this, just spar, yeah, right, just talk, just do some lame knob jokes here in the studio, then send a recording of yourself doing your thing. Details are on the website. You can find out the address and how to get in touch and everything. We tried to come up last week with a name for the slot. We discounted, which one of my favourites actually, Femme Academy. I quite liked,
sounds good.
and I don't know who it was that came up with Opportunity Knockers, but that we had to discount as well. We had the Fairer Six,
Quite
which was
like that one.
nice.
I quite like that
one. Bird Search, it was quite blunt. Rufus, if you remember, just came up with the simple skirt.
Yes. Said in a slightly strained way.
Yeah, exactly.
Not overly descriptive.
And I did something as well that was unbroadcastable at the end. But we've actually settled on, and Rufus is a big Magic fan, so we've settled on Find the Lady. The Steve Show, Search for a She-J, which I think is quite nice.
Will there be t-shirts available?
Hey, that's a good idea. Yeah, we can make them available, perhaps in major record shops. I'll tell you what else is available in major record shops. No, I'm not. I can't. I'm not allowed to mention it. I'm not allowed to mention it. Okay, so each week we like to play a tune that we add to our Steve Show Seduction CD. This is a CD of beautiful tunes that, if you are desperate to lure a woman, perhaps you've recently gone to speed dating events and it's not really worked out for you, then this is the way to seduce the lady of your dreams. You just listen up each week, and we're compiling a beautiful selection of tunes. This one, Gwen McRae, and a track called 90% of Me. How would you fare on The Apprentice? I always look at it and I realise I would just be hopeless. There's no surprise that I got into broadcasting. Yeah, let's be honest, I've made a an amazing impression, a huge splash on Six Music. People can't believe it. It's a whole different kind of show. They're thinking, wow, we thought this was going to be a credible music programme. Wait a minute, it reminds us of classic 80s Radio 1. And I'm proud of that, I am. But Dan, you watch The Apprentice, you love it. Are you someone who would cope well?
I do love it. I always think to myself, yeah, I'd love to be out there. I reckon I'd be a real hit, but I'm far too laid back, I think, because you've got to be quite hard bitten, haven't you, to succeed.
You've
like
got to be
Ruth Badger last year.
It's exactly right, and you've also got to have just so much chutzpah, you know, when you have to sell cars and stuff.
I quite like that bit, but
would you be able to cope? I couldn't do it, though. I couldn't sell something that I didn't believe that people really needed.
yeah, I probably
That's the
would be
problem
too
I have.
honest. Yeah.
Because I mean, you're in the sort of business world, Hera. Is that the sort of thing that you know? Are you an aggressive?
I'd like to be on
Are
The
you?
Apprentice because it's a good opportunity to stitch people up, i.e. the general public selling them rubbish and
Evil.
your fellow contestants.
Yeah.
And Sir Alan, as I call him, he'd love that. He'd absolutely love it. If I could be a ruthless, bitch.
Sure.
Fantastic.
I of course my only experience of trying to kind of haggle and negotiate was when I tried to buy a laptop computer on Tottenham Court Road, which for people who don't live in London is a busy street that has an awful lot of kind of shops where they sell computers and electronics. And I wanted to buy a laptop, and I'd found the shop which sold the one that I wanted. I found it had the cheapest price, and I went in there and I had this plan, this kind of flow diagram in my head of how I would haggle. I'd go in, I'd say, you know what, 1,500 quid's not enough. It's too much. I want to come in. I'm coming in 1,100. Not enough. Yeah, that was already about so. So I walked into the shop and because they'd always said haggle. That's the way to do it. So I walked in and I said, yeah, looking at the Toshiba over there. What's it retailing at? The guy went 1,500. I went, I'll give you 1,100 for it. He went, nah, it's 1,500. And it hadn't even occurred to me that he might not haggle.
Yeah.
My plan now, my flow diagram had gone out of my head. And so he said, I went, all right. Listen, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you 1,350. He went, it's 11. He said it's 1,500. I went, all right. Thing is, I could get this cheaper elsewhere. All right, I'd love to buy it from you. I've heard great things, but I'll walk out of the shop. He went, okay. I went, right. So I walked out of the shop, and the problem was I had no other options, because it was the cheapest I could find.
Oh, no.
So after about 5 minutes, I walked back in again, which is not, I think, what you're supposed to do. Walked back and I said, Yeah. 1,500. All right. I'll buy it for 1,500 if I can get a free carry case. The bloke went, "It comes with a free carry case." I went, "I'll take it." It was the most lame. It was the most lame bit of haggling.
Ruthless.
And I think he probably he sold on top of that some kind of 8-year warranty and some kind of lotion that you spread on the screen to stop it scratching or something. It cost me a fortune. Anyway, each week we like to get my contributors here, Dan and Harry, to suggest a song for me, something I'm unfamiliar with. Harry, you're up first this week. What have you got for me?
Yeah, I've got a track by Moose this week, Steve. I think over the